Well, what I love about the piece is that it has two really quite strong opposing elements, I would say. There's a beautiful, beautiful sort of slowish, meditative style, which is particularly true of him. And there's a kind of joy, but also there's a touch of tragedy. In fact, I think he describes the piece as a mixture of joy and mourning. So you've got these sort of long, long lines, very, very beautiful, sounding quite improvised in a way, which is like the ideal, his imagining of, humanity, what's really humanity. He called it Distant Light, and it came out really of he read a book by Gidon Kramer called Reflections of Childhood, I think it was called, or Fragments of Childhood, and apparently they went to the same school together in Latvia, and they got together and he wrote the concerto for it. The interesting reading about him is that he grew up in this part of the Baltic coast where I think Stalin wouldn't allow people to go without a permit because he thought that there would be an attack, possibly from the west. So the area stayed pretty well untouched for the half a century. And he grew up, this is Vask, grew up without any television, without any record player. And his father was a Baptist minister, which in a way is pretty controversial in the Soviet Union. And his whole musical experience was really at home, sort of playing. And I find that really fascinating, especially like today, so easy to turn the music on whenever you want it, but to actually have to create your own music. And the interesting thing about Vask is that he started off being influenced by the sort of more atonal avant-garde, like Penderecki and Lutosławski, composers like that. And then about mid-1980s, he changed and really his whole style became much more accessible and developed into the language that he uses, say, in Distant Light, which is really quite simple, but very, very, sort of haunting. It's really stirring and arresting. And then the folk music element, folk dance, actually, in the middle section, which will be very interesting as we're doing it with dancers as well. It'll be interesting to see how they interpret it all. Playing the piece, it's kind of interesting, like, a lot of it is very simple, but I think the art of it is to make a sound, to create a sound that is effortless and luminous and all that, with this kind of touch of tragedy, to make the colours as contrasting as possible, and also to connect with that kind of inspiration. Well, so I really hope you like the piece, and that you get as much out of it as I've got from studying it and thinking about the whole atmosphere around it.